Hello, Kaz here, and today we are taking a look and kind of an episode 1 of Prison Architect. A really interesting game that came into my radar recently, and I've decided that I want to go ahead and share it with you folks. So, let's go ahead and let's get started here. So let's go ahead and create a new prison, and I'm going to do as generic of a prison as possible to start out with. So we're actually just going to go with a nice, simple, just the warden. The rest of these have kind of cool advantages and different things that they can do. This guy, though, he's just the warden. He just does his job, nothing else. But the other ones, you can do cool things like, you know, get a little extra money, have better guard dogs, keep the peace a little bit better, things like that. So, I'm also going to keep it simple by going male. If you go female, there are some extra needs that are actually a little difficult to get your head around at first, so we're just going to stick with the male prison for now. And for guard dogs, we're just going to go classic. There's no reason not to. You can do cool things like guard cats, though. Dire wolf, Dalmatian, husky. Actually, you know what? We're going to go with huskies. Yeah, husky. I like huskies. Yeah, classic. Yeah, just the classic. Why not? So next, we're going to go ahead and go to... We don't want to do warden mode. That is an extra challenge. A cool challenge, but not the one we want today. We're going to go with a small prison at first. And we're just going to keep it fairly vanilla settings. Nothing really extra. Generate forest, no lakes, no extra buildings. These are like ruined buildings, by the way. And we don't want gangs, but we do want failure condition. And we do want criminally insane inmates, because that makes it really fun. So, let's go ahead and just dive right in. And here is our first plot of land. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pause so that I can figure out a little bit of what I'm doing. So I already have a little bit of a plan, because the way that I kind of guide myself in this game, at least for the first couple steps, is I go to grants and I figure out the first few things I want, which in this case is just going to be basic detention and administration center. And you can see in the top left here, I have a few goals with those. For basic detention center, we need to build a holding cell, shower, yard, kitchen, canteen, have at least 2 guards and at least 2 cooks. And then the administration center, you need 2 offices, a warden, and an accountant, as well as unlocking finance through bureaucracy. So that's the thing that you need to take care of. So let's go ahead and just figure out what we're going to get in. So the first thing I want to do is note that I have increased my bank balance from the 30 grand that you usually get to 55, because I got a little bit of a down payment on both of those grants. Now I'm going to kind of zoom in here, and you got to be a little bit careful at first, otherwise you will run out of money. If you haven't played this game before, it is very easy to accidentally run out of money at first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a simple little entry point right about there. And off of that, I'm going to build a little hallway for administration. And this hallway is going to be very short, sweet, and to the point. I'm going to try and make it long enough to where I can have a couple of offices built off of it. There we go. Nothing too scary there. And over here, we're going to go ahead and build our first little bit of area. We're going to have a hallway that builds out to about here. And then we're going to turn into our first little detention area. And so we're going to have a holding cell here. Go ahead and make that, I think 6 by 6 is big enough. Let me double check on the rooms. So if I go over down here to rooms, where is that? There we go. Wrong one. And I can go ahead, and actually technically something I could do is I could just use these prefab rooms. I don't typically use the quick build prefab rooms, but you know what? I think I'm going to. Just to get myself started here. Because it does get you all your basic needs taken care of right quick. So let's go ahead and plan on doing that. So we'll go ahead and get you in right here. And then we'll go ahead and get the kitchen canteen in. And then we'll also get some offices. Here are our offices for our first couple of administrators. And we're going to go ahead and place you right about here. And you right about here. So that's our first couple basic offices. We'll build more elaborate ones in the future, but right now we've got to keep it dirt cheap. as dirt cheap as we possibly can. So let's go ahead and get our basic kitchen. Again, very, very basic prison setup here. Nothing fancy, nothing worth writing home about, really. And so for this, we're going to go ahead and place... I guess we can go ahead and place the kitchen here. Then we can have the canteen right next to it. So let's go ahead and plan on doing that. Then we'll get that canteen in. This is a great way to get started for those that are unaware. Just use these prefab rooms because they really do give you everything you need immediately. And they don't have you over doing it too much. So now we come on over here. Let's go ahead and let's expand this hallway. About like so. That's blocked, but that's not blocked. There we go. Getting our basic detention center in over here. And we'll probably end up flipping this, but for now we need to go ahead and... Actually, can I get rid of that right now? If I go back to quick build, select the holding cell, if I right click, will you go away? You will go away. Very nice. Okay, go ahead and get rid of that. And we'll go ahead and place you right about here. And we'll get the showers in right across from our little holding cell. And we're going to go ahead and get these guys a yard as well. And so to prep for that, we're going to move you down. Then let's get a basic utility room. Which we can go ahead and place that utility room right here. We'll probably be fine. It'll keep it nice and condensed. Because again, we don't want to do anything elaborate at first. Because we don't have a whole lot of money. And I think that's going to be enough for us to get started. So let's go ahead and put out this hallway. About like so. In fact, we'll bring it out to here just to keep the walls even. And we'll come on over here. And let's go ahead and put up a fence. Because we do want to have a little bit of a fence here so that people don't try to escape whenever we let them out into the yard. Because they need a yard for recreational purposes. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and get a door. Get a jail door in. Right. I think right here should do. At least for now. And then we'll go ahead and put a couple of large jail doors again. And something to keep in mind, you can actually go ahead and place these doors in nice and early like that. So that whenever they're building, they'll go ahead and start placing that stuff in. And yeah, I've gone ahead and sped up the time to 4 times. Because that will help us just get things done a little bit faster. And in order to expedite this process, we're going to go ahead and hire a few more workers. And now we're also going to get a warden in. And we're going to get a handful of guards. And just 1 guard, I guess, for now. Once these guys get a lot of this stuff in, we're actually going to sack them. Now, it sounds kind of harsh because I'm just like, yay, you have a job. Now you don't. And now that we've got a good chunk of them in, I want to go ahead and go to reports, go to staff, and we're going to go ahead and fire a handful of these. There we go. A little harsh, but it is a nice way to get things rolling at first. So now we go ahead, go over to our electrical cable, and we'll make sure that this is hooked up to our prison areas. You don't hook up each light individually. For those that haven't played this game before, you actually have to just get it near, and I think within a certain radius, I think up to 6 or 7 blocks out, or tiles out. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It might be something like 10 blocks. You can see kind of the extent to which it does right there, but you do need to go ahead and make sure you have relatively good coverage. Otherwise, you'll be in for a bad time later on. So let's go ahead and get these in. And then I recommend just putting these down your big long corridors. And for your utility lines, for the piping in particular, you don't want to give your prisoners direct access to your pipes, the big pipes. Because if they have direct access to the big pipes, you will have a bad time due to the fact that, well, they can escape using those big pipes. And you will definitely regret giving them access. So one way to do it is just to keep it nearby, but not right there. And try to make sure that your big pipes do not have direct access to the outside, because otherwise they will tunnel into those. Then they'll use those to easily get out and then just climb right out into the open. And we don't want that. We want our prisoners to be nice and safe and not harming anyone inside our prison. Speaking of not harming anyone, we need to get a few more guards, because our first batch of prisoners should be arriving shortly. We've got 8 prisoners arriving at 8 a.m., and it's almost 1 a.m., so our time is limited. All right, and now we need to go ahead and we need to research finance. There we go. And this is going to happen relatively quick. And so we need to go ahead over here. Let's go ahead and get a room up. Let's build a yard. And the yard just needs to be any old open space, really. Doesn't need anything fancy. And there you go. The yard is already in. Just like that. And now we'll go ahead and we need to think about getting rid of this stuff. And one way, and by getting rid of this stuff, I mean these extra boxes and logs, things like that that were once in the way but not anymore. One way to take care of that is to build a storage room. So I'm going to go ahead and build me a little bit of a storage room. Go ahead and pause really quick, because we're actually getting close to finishing our finance research, which is going to be very good for us. And we're going to go ahead and pull this out like so. And then we're going to build a room right here. And this is going to be our storage room. At least that's what I'm theory crafting here. So let's go ahead and get you guys in. And they'll go ahead and build it up nice and fast. And our intake is less than 2 hours out. And here in just a moment, we'll be able to hire our accountant. And we should be about good to go once we get in a couple of cooks. We need to use utilities, and we need to hook these guys up. There we are. And there we are. All right, now we've got power to those. And we'll go over to staff. And here in a second, we should be able to hire our accountant. There we go. Our accountant is in. All right. And now we've got our first 2 grants completed. And just like that, we have even more money. We've got 5,000 for completing the one and 10,000 for completing the other, which means that we're at a pretty good point. And now your guards are going to go ahead and grab all of your prisoners that just got delivered and dump them in the nearest holding cell, or one that they can access easily. And next we're going to go ahead and let's pause real quick. We need to get a couple more utility connections in. One's going to be up there to that sink. And we're going to get another couple of doors in. I want a door right here. And then we're going to get another door in right about here. And we need to go ahead and kind of flush this out, because I like maximizing my space. There's no reason not to maximize it. There we go. Do that. And we're going to go ahead and designate as a storage room. So let's go ahead and get room. Let's slow down the timing a little bit. Don't need to be quite as fast right now. And let's go ahead and grab storage. Where's storage? It's somewhere. There it is. Storage is. And then we're going to go on to walls and doors. Demolish walls. And we're going to demolish that wall that's right there. And then we'll go ahead and extend storage to right there. And now what's going to happen is anything that is spare is going to get thrown over there. Anything that is delivered and not usable yet gets thrown in there. Any food stuff gets delivered right there. And it's great to put it next to the kitchen because it creates great synergy between the kitchen and storage. That way you can get nice direct access, no questions asked. And now we've got 8 more prisoners arriving. And that's not good because we don't have a whole lot of money to sit there and do a whole lot. And we can't get a lot of prisoners in this holding cell without it being problematic. So we need to start thinking about where to expand. And the grants menu actually has the answer for us. If you look over here at the grants menu, it tells you, hey, you need to design cell block A. So what's that? We need to raise the prisoner capacity to 15. You know what? We can do that. That means you need to have 15 cells, or you need to have dormitories to where you can have, or shared cells rather, where you have a capacity of 15. So that's a good one I like going for next. And after that, there's a couple of options. One is building a medical ward and getting psychologists and whatnot. That is a pretty good route to go. It does net you more money, and it is probably a little better for the long run. So let's go ahead and do that. And after that, we'll probably go for prison maintenance. But before we unpause, we're going to go to bureaucracy, and we need to think about what we want each of our folks to do. Security is very important. So we're going to go ahead and have the warden get security researched, and we're going to have our accountant research extra grant, because the extra grant allows you to have a third grant, so you can have 3 grants working at the same time, which is ideal. Or 3 incomplete grants at the same time, rather. And getting the security chief just allows you to do a lot more with your security guards, because right now we've only got 4 guards. I've just upped that to 8, and that's not going to be enough for the long run, but that's going to be enough, at least for now, until we get some more stuff rolling. Now let's go on over here, and we'll get some fancier walls down the line, but for now, just concrete and brick walls everywhere. We can go ahead and fix that as we go. And those guys are rolling. So now we need to think about our first actual cell block. And so for that, I want to go ahead and let's go ahead and create a little barrier. I like to use large jail doors to kind of section off a part of the prison that I'm about to be working on, because that way the prisoners aren't as tempted to run out there, and it just kind of protects you from people running out. And I've selected building brick because why not? And let's go ahead and give these guys a little bit of a hallway to lead in, and to lead out that way, actually. And from here, we're actually going to start designing a couple of cells. So a good minimal cell design is actually the size of the one that they give you here. This is a little one that I've recently discovered. So if you look at this basic cell, you see it's 5 by 4. And an interesting thing to note is you can turn it into a dormitory, which also houses prisoners, but you can easily turn that bed into a bunk bed. So the same amount of space, you can double your prisoners, and they don't seem to complain too much because they have a toilet, they have all that stuff, and you can even throw a bookcase or something in there to keep them happy. So we're going to use that basic layout, and we're just going to kind of go from there. And so for that, we need to make sure that we have, let's see here, 5 deep. So 1, 2, there's the bed, a gap, the door, and then we need a hallway, and then gap, bed, back wall. So right there is how we're going to draw this out. Oh, let's draw it back to about here, and that should be about good. And that's going to be plenty of space for us to build several shared cells. So let's do that, and we're, of course, as soon as that door gets placed, we're going to go ahead and we're going to demolish this back wall so that we have easier access. And we're also going to go ahead and hire some more staff. There we go. So now that's in, and these prisoners won't cause any trouble with trying to get back there, at least not immediately. And now we need to go back to our walls, and let's think about how we want this to look. Oh, canteen's open. That happens. There we go. All right, so I like to leave the first bit open because we can put things like cleaning cupboards, laundry rooms, things like that in. So let's go ahead and pause. Let's see what we can get done here. So we have this in. We can go ahead and place this in like that. There we are. Delete that little bit. Redraw that. Yeah, that should be good. And now we're going to go ahead and copy this design. Forward like that. Forward like that. And so you can kind of see how you can carbon copy these. You can also use the cloning feature. The cloning feature is great. We'll touch on that later for those that aren't familiar with it. But this is how I do things, at least at first. And yeah, the end's going to be a little larger there. How many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that'd be 5 times 2 is 10 times 2, because the other side is 20. So that's actually not going to be too bad. So let's go ahead and let's just draw it as it is. So we pull these across. This will be a nice small block just to get us started. We can go ahead and do a more elaborate cell block later on. So we'll keep drawing this back, and let's go ahead and unpause so that we can start getting some workers over here. And we'll go ahead and offset the doors, because that'll just help them get in and out of places. Because the prisoners are people too. They need easy access, and they don't need to be dogpiling on each other. Of course, they do that anyways if they're rioting, but that's a different situation. There we go. And let's go ahead and we'll keep using the utilities by pulling a main line over here into here. And you'll want to pull this a little higher, And then we'll go ahead and connect the small pipes, because the small pipes have a very limited range. You do need to keep that in mind. Then we pull this down, and out like so. Alrighty. So now we need to come over here and let's go ahead and set these up as rooms. So let's go ahead to dormitory, which is the shared cells. And we'll do those. And we'll do these. And then we go ahead and grab objects. And we need to grab a bunk bed. There we go. And we go ahead and just place those in one after the other. I don't think it's too unreasonable for everyone to have a bunk mate. We don't need it to be elaborate or fancy, obviously, but yeah, you've got a bunk mate. So now, in the same amount of space, for basically no negative effects, we get double the amount of prisoners in half the amount of space. So that is really, really ideal. Or the same amount of space, rather. Not double. Or half, rather. Now let's go on up here. Let's grab our toilets. And what I'm actually going to do is place this on the interior wall. There we go. Make it a little rougher on them to try and escape if that's what they're going for. And that also does mean that I need to redraw my utility lines because I had a different idea at first, but you know what? That's fine. We have a little bit of money to play with. Not a whole lot, but we have a little bit, so it's not the end of the world that we made a little bit of a mistake there. And we'll go ahead and draw that up there. Because I imagine we'll have more cells in there. All right, and these guys are all rolling. And now we need the final touch. We need some jail doors. Go ahead and place one on each. And now every prisoner of ours will be able to have a cell. Or a bunk, rather, in a relatively private environment. There we go. Nice and easy. And as we finish all these, our prisoners will start being moved over. And they're going to start assigning themselves to cells. And here very soon, it looks like we'll have our new prisoners. But first, let's go to bureaucracy. And I always pause whenever I'm doing bureaucracy, because I want to make sure that I'm deliberate with my actions. So the first thing I want to do is deployment, because that allows me to actually deploy my security forces properly. And the next thing I want to do is probably health. That's very important. And we'll go ahead and have our finance lady research tax relief, because that's really good for long-term stuff. And I'd rather have it happen now when I don't have the money anyways, so that I don't end up missing it later. All right, so let's do that. And then we need to go ahead and hire a chief. That's a guard. I want the chief. There we go. The chief is in. And then we'll also get in a psychiatrist. And no, we don't need a psychiatrist right now. No, we don't need you right now. I don't know why I thought I needed a psychiatrist right there. I'm just a bit of a derp. All right, so now we'll go ahead and we'll get another quickly manufactured office. And we'll start building fancier offices in the next episode probably. But today is more just about seeing what the game's about, getting the basics in, and getting a very basic prison put together. That's what today is about. All right, and so now we're beginning construction on that guy. And here come our new prisoners. Also good news. And the chief is wandering around somewhere. That's fine. And yeah, we're just rolling right through here. And look, our new prisoners are in. We've got 16 of 20. We're doing really, really good on the amount of prisoners we have. So now let's pause real quick. And actually, I think that's going to be about it for today. This has been episode 1 of Prison Architect, new series here on the channel. Let me know down in the comments section and or leave a like if you enjoyed the content. And of course, be sure to hit the subscribe button to see more. You'll be seeing things such as Prison Architect, Surviving the Aftermath, and of course, City Skylines here on this channel. And be sure to check me out on Twitch and give a follow there to see when I go live. Daily City Skylines streams currently starting at 6:30 a.m. CST, which is GMT -6. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Kazjim signing out. See ya!